Hello everyone and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Halleck. Memorial services were held this week here at Riverside Cemetery and on Crab Island in Plattsburgh. Fire! Where American and British soldiers and sailors are buried side by side. Casualties of the battles that took place on and around Lake Champlain in September of 1814, following the invasion of 15,000 British troops who, like their fleet of naval ships, had crossed into New York from Quebec. The names of those who fought in the battles are memorialized in stone on Crab Island and Riverside Cemetery. And last summer, for the very first time, a memorial was also held hundreds of miles from where the historic battle took place, on the coast of Maine, in an old cemetery in the city of Portland, where a young doctor who served on board the flagship Saratoga was given a War of 1812 medallion on his grave, and long overdue recognition for coming to the aid of the dozens of sailors who were gravely wounded by the barrage of cannon fire that exploded around them for hours that day on Cumberland Bay. After 207 years, Dr. John Briggs has finally received the military honors his descendants and historians believe he deserves for his valor during the Battle of Plattsburgh.
We have, I think, an obligation to remember the individuals as well as the broad history that created our communities and our nation and our world. The daughters of the War of 1812 kind of started this whole thing with an inquiry that led Ron Romano, who discovered descendants of Dr. Briggs.
And it was one of those descendants, Stephen Strout, who came all the way from Texas to place a medallion on the gravesite of his great-great-great-great-grandfather, John Perkins Briggs, who it turns out was a surgeon on board the American flagship Saratoga during the Battle of Plattsburgh.
We've really got a great story to tell in Dr. Briggs.
And that story, told by fellow historian Herb Adams, describes what that day and battle were like for the young doctor from Maine.
The British Navy had 1,100 plus ships. The United States Navy had maybe 11. In September 1814, the British land and sea forces planned to seize all the territory around the Great Lakes, the great inland seas, and drive like a dart down Lake Champlain and isolate New York and New England from the rest of the United States. The Saratoga had 8 24-pound guns. When I say pounds, that's the weight of the ball, red hot, that could be fired by one of these. He has 6 42-pound and 12 32-pound carronades for the short-range fight. These are known as smashers. They're big-bellied, big-mouthed, short-range fighters. They belch shot and shell and scrap and lead at the foe at hundreds of miles an hour. They smash the ship. They smash sailors, too. The first British broadside from the Confiance disables and destroys all the Saratoga's starboard right side guns and kills or disables about 1/5 of the crew. The danger from the iron shrapnel traveling at hundreds of miles an hour is equal only to the shattering of the ship's sides. When balls hit it, it shoots up fountains of long splinters like sharp javelins. They can lance through a man, and they do. One such bullet or fragment strikes Dr. Briggs, assistant surgeon. He's dead. And one fragment hits Dr. Briggs in his ankle. Now he's hobbling, blood spurting from the wounded sailors, blinded men flailing by him. And yet he works on. He's wearing their blood and his own too. Captain McDonough, at this point in the battle, cuts his cables, his anchor lines, to swivel the ship, literally turn it around. He then blasts the British with his port, his left broadside. And that does it. Now there are 4 British ships, battered, sinking, and they surrender. The victory at Plattsburgh halts the British attempt to take Lake Champlain and invade the United States from the north. It's over for the rest of the war. Dr. Briggs turned 23 the week before the very day of the battle, 1 week to the day. His wounded foot never heals. He limps all his life. He is gone before he is 50. So he rests here now. It's a quiet place. It's very pretty here. It's within sight and smell of the sea, and it makes one think. A forgotten war, well, but not forgotten for this one day. As Commander McDonough said 207 years ago, gentle man, doctor, at last, put up your healing instruments. You have proven worthy of them.